Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green. You're watching Greenwave TV, Alternative Media Television Live. It is approximately 2:30 Arizona time. We're going to start to get these on a regular schedule, but I have not announced the regular schedule yet. And if you notice, I'm cycling between our new location and the old location. We're pretty much living out of boxes at the moment, so it's a little chaotic. But I plan, in the not too distant future, to roll out our live stream on a regular schedule so you know when it is, you know where to find us, make this a lot easier to share with your friends and family, and we sure as heck appreciate, and I sure as heck appreciate the support. You know, today I want to get into, it's amazing. I've been doing this long enough, and there's times when I almost don't even have to follow the news. I can just instinctually feel where it's going. Not just from a news cycle perspective, but just kind of a psychological perspective. Because, of course, media, the mainstream media, and that propaganda is deeply ingrained in our psyche. It is meant to provoke action. That's why it's so powerful. I would argue it's more powerful than the President of the United States, obviously. It's more powerful than anything, really, is the power of the media to change and to initiate action. Whether or not that's a commercial, a Coca-Cola commercial that you see and you go, oh wow, I'm going to drink Coke now. Unconsciously embedded as they run it over the Super Bowl. Maybe you don't go out right away and grab the Coca-Cola, but the next day you wonder why you want it. They used to insert into movies, and they do it in very nanosecond type clips where you really couldn't pick up on it visually, except picked up in your brain, and they'd run a Coca-Cola commercial. Or they'd run a soda fountain commercial or a candy commercial. Go get your dots before the movie. And that actually became illegal once people knew about it and they stopped doing it. But it used to be common practice in the movies. And so you'd be watching the credits roll. In the very beginning, all of a sudden you go, I'm thirsty. I really want a Coke. And you wouldn't know why, and you'd get up. Subliminal messaging. And it's very much what I think is coming to the United States, and is why I'm not a genius. Of course, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't get everything right. I make mistakes, etc. But there's certain times that I become instinctual around things, and now is very much that time here in America. So what does this mean? What kind of stage cyber attack could potentially rock America? Now, of course, we've had the Snowden scandal. Snowden comes out. He unearths massive amounts of information that he basically thumb drives, puts it out to the American people of the world, confirms what people like me and people like you have already been telling your friends and family. We've already known for some time that they're listening to our conversations, that they are reading our emails, that they're trolling our YouTube channels through the comments, etc., our Facebook and Twitter connections. We've known that, but the difference is now it's actually confirmed the worst fears of the average American or the average person around the world. So the way that they've got to spin this now is because there's been such a lashback at the federal government, at President Barack Obama, at these organizations like the NSA and CIA, now they've got to create a reason why they need to do this kind of thing. And the easiest way to do that is to strike and to impregnate fear into the American psyche and into the American people. How do they do that? Really easy. Really easy. I mean, you look at events, whether or not you believe them to be staged false flag terror attacks or not, events like September 11th, events like Boston, the Boston massacre, the Boston bombing, etc. Staged terror attacks that have been confirmed as staged terror attacks. For example, one of the more recent ones was the underwear bomber, which was a staged and then foiled bomb plot by the CIA. They like to pat themselves on the back on that one. There was actually a story I'll see if I can't find. I was reading this morning about somebody that was supposedly out to kill President Barack Obama with some kind of X-ray gun or some kind of radiation technology. They said they infer that he was a truther and that he believed President Barack Obama was responsible for the Boston bombing. So again, all of this is subliminal messaging. It gets impregnated in your mind. You don't even realize it. All of a sudden you find yourself drinking that Coke. You don't know why. You can't stop smoking. Have you ever had an experience like that? And that's very much the way I see somebody who's deeply engrossed in the trench. At times I have to take a broad perspective. I have to get out of the trench and go, okay, what's the big picture? And because I've been doing that to a certain extent just the past few days, we're going through this bold move with AMTV. We're broadening our syndication, et cetera, with your support. And in taking that step back, it's almost at times things get clear. I can see a better picture, and I very much see a manipulation by the media, by our politicians, by Obama, by these institutions to impregnate fear around why we have a Google police state now, why there is this data mining situation, and there's these multi-billion-dollar facilities in places like Colorado literally listening, recording, and then diagnosing with keywords the literal conversation I'm having with you right now. Everything's recorded. Now, I was talking to a friend, a technical expert, yesterday who said there is a way actually to, and you can see on my cell phone here, there is a way actually to encrypt your voice call. So I think security is actually going to be a big part of the program going forward. So there is a way to encrypt voice. There should be a way to encrypt text. There should be, and there are ways to encrypt email. Some of you are probably familiar with that. So those are all really excellent ways, and expect to see a ramp up in that in personal security. In fact, if you're a investor or business person or you like that sort of thing, I'd honestly be looking at security type companies as opportunities to counter the police state. Because honestly, it's at the surface of people's minds, and it's what the people are interested in. It's amazing. People sometimes, they see me sweating behind camera like, Chris, you look like crap. What's going on? It is so hot in Phoenix right now. It is blazing. I literally have the sun right in my face. I've got lights all around me. No wonder you see the sweat, dripping at my temples here. Also, I want to give a shout out to one of our most loyal sponsors, seedsnow.com. Check these guys out. I'm extremely personally loyal to the people that support us, you, and those companies and small businesses that have helped us push this liberty movement forward and continue to do so, and have been with us from the very beginning. Seeds Now is one of those companies, and I really encourage you to check them out. A lot of you have actually already done business with them. The gentleman that owns the company is named Chris as well. I don't know why I track Chris's, but I seem to do. Check him out, seedsnow.com. They've got a great website, all kinds of things that you can shop for, seed banks. A lot of you guys are doing this already. So if you're doing this and you're doing your own gardens, growing your own foods, completely 100% non-GMO, organic, please support our sponsor. That's a great way to support the cause itself. For a limited time, enter green with an E10 and get a 10% discount. Please support Chris, support me. I really appreciate it. He's been a loyal supporter literally from day one, when our audience was nil. And now as we're growing rapidly and getting bigger, it's so amazing. But again, we're just touching the surface of where we can really get to. And also, if you're a small business watching, please consider sponsoring what we do. We really need your support. A big thing this year is I want to get more live broadcasts in front of you, and we want to travel on set and onto location, as well as source more stories ourselves. But to do that, we do need a budget, and we do need your support in order to make that happen. So if you're a small business watching, and I personally vet every single small business, send us an email at advertise@amtvmedia.com. That's advertise@amtvmedia.com. And we can talk, or I'll have somebody out to you that can discuss your options and how we can get your message out to more people, your product, your service, your nonprofit group, etc., and really move a lot of traffic your way. Our stats have been awesome the past few months. We're moving anywhere from 1 million to almost 2 million views a month, depending on the month and depending on really what's going on. And it's as Chris tells me over at Seeds Now, he's almost got too much business that he knows to handle, and he's a small company. So I think that this is fantastic, as all of them grow, we grow, and vice versa. We're really supporting each other within the liberty economy. But back to a staged cyber attack and how this will be integrated into the psyches of Americans and subliminally implanted into our brains. So we want totalitarianism. Hitler was this very strong figure who was an obvious tyrant, yet for some reason the people submitted to him. They submitted to his views. They submitted to his agenda. And let's be clear, the United States, President Barack Obama, the New World Order have a clear and present agenda. The agenda has largely been completed to destroy America, to bankrupt us financially, and to end freedom and liberty here in the United States. We've become a socialist country, I would argue fascist. We no longer endorse capitalism. From every single level, economic, financial, social, all of this has changed dramatically and drastically over the past few years. Also, I noticed, and many of you have probably been following, although I don't closely follow financial markets as much as I used to, the Dow Jones Industrial Average gets slaughtered today. I mean, absolutely killed. Down 353 points. That's about a 2.5%, give or take, percentage point drop. A lot of volatility. Why? Well, the Fed shakes global markets, according to reports. Why is that? Well, the Federal Reserve has been stimulating markets and financial systems, oiling and lubing them up for years. Literally hasn't stopped with the 0% interest rate policies, the buying and the buybacks of mortgage-backed securities and the amounts of billions of dollars a month, quantitative easing 1 through 4, Operation Twist, since the 2008 financial collapse. So, I mean, what's happening is all this is starting to come to fruition. At some point we got to pay the piper. An approaching $17 trillion debt and growing here in the United States is unsustainable. So what does that mean? Well, that means collapse. That means what happened in Russia with the USSR when the country fragmented. And there was complete financial Armageddon. And literally, I'm not making this stuff up, people turned to cannibalism. Look it up for yourself. People were actually eating each other. It was so bad. All of this is coming to the United States. Why? I mean, is this something we want to come? Is this something we're excited about? Of course not. But the reason it's planned this way is because it was the agenda and the plan from the very beginning. Just like the plan and agenda, and just like the financial crash in 2008 was staged. And again, that's not my opinion. I was there. I don't believe it to be an opinion. Some of you would argue that it is, but I was there. It was a rigged job. It was a bending over, and you're going to get hammered, and we're going to steal from you. That's what happened. Trillions of dollars moved. The largest transfer of wealth in history, by the way, just suddenly disappeared. Everybody knew that transfer of wealth coming from baby boomers was going somewhere. Well, guess what? It went one place. It went straight to the doorstep of Washington and Wall Street. It was a plan all along. Wall Street owns Washington. Corporate interests own the politicians. I also noticed people like Peter Schiff, CEO of Euro Pacific Capital, he was on today. They always like to bring these people back, even though people like Peter Schiff might not be perfect. I've met him a few times. Really like the guy. Really nice guy, sharp. I'm actually a personal fan, followed him when I was in economics and financial business myself. But I mean, he called 2008. He was right on. He was on target, and people laugh at him still. But it's funny how they bring him back on now because the market gets slaughtered. It's like they shock a cow right between the brain before they, serve it to you on a nice hot plate with a little bit of butter on top. Serve it rare. So where do we go from here? How does this play out? Well, we kind of know where it's going. We understand what's going to happen. Actually, it's a mathematical truth. There is no other option but disintegration of the capital market itself, which has largely already occurred, in my opinion. It's just really to the point when we get to pay the piper that it all goes kaput. Then what? Well, do we hit the reset button? Is it a regurgitation of past policies? Can they lower interest rates any lower than zero? Does Ben Bernanke lower interest rates to negative 10%? Does he spend more money? Do we print more? At some point, the private markets react to a point where they're going to push interest rates higher. That in and of itself will collapse the system. The federal government will be unable to artificially hold rates low into infinity, although they're trying to, because they know when rates rise, everything goes in the toilet. Mortgage rates, credit card interest rates, all kinds of installment loans and revolving credit, student loans. I know many people that have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of student loan debt. All of that goes through the roof. All of that becomes a problem. And guess what? There's an inverse relationship between interest rate and prices. So as interest rates rise, you've got prices that come down. That's what's going to happen to the housing market. I'm looking at myself here to make sure I was doing that right. Housing market and all of these markets all together. What does this mean for gold? People like Ron Paul spoke the other day, said it was basically going to go to infinity. Is that possible? That's possible. But it's only a byproduct of a weakening dollar. really, when gold goes higher, as it's done for much of the past several decades, it's only showing weakness in the dollar. So is gold actually appreciating, or is it just appreciating relative to the dollar? Because again, it's tangible. It's something you can hold, bite into. You can't eat it. I would argue that food is more valuable than anything else in a shit hit the fan scenario, but also as a medium of exchange or as a preservation of wealth, really good thing. You probably know, I know people personally that actually buried gold during the Great Depression. Buried it. Buried it when it was, we went off the gold standard and you had to, turn back your gold, get a price for it. That can happen again. People bury their gold in silver. So at some point, this is all going to go roost. And this all coordinates and integrates, not just financially, but what's been going on specifically with the NSA and this intelligence snafu. So here we have a stock summer slide. A summer slide sell-off. Also notice historically, you probably already know this, but all the great crashes have occurred throughout history, mostly, typically, towards the end of the year. In that November, October period time frame is when we had, the 1929 stock market crash, for example, the 2008 financial collapse. That tends to be when there is increased volume and selling in the system itself. The hedge funds get out, and basically they push all those losses to you. Famous hedge fund investors like Jesse Livermore. You can look this guy up, read about him. He wrote a book. I think it's called like the Stock Trader's Almanac or something like that. I think I'm getting the title wrong, but he's kind of known as the hedge fund. All hedge fund managers read him. He's kind of like he wrote the Bible for hedge fund managers. He actually broke a billionaire in today's equivalent multiple times in his life, and actually died only a millionaire when he was a billionaire. Just a kind of amazing story. But again, all this is funny money. I mean, the guys that run Wall Street, the guys that are on Wall Street, a lot of them, you're looking 20, 30-year-old guys could really care two shits about the outcome of what it means for America, what it means for the country, how it impacts things long term, whether or not it destroys us or not. They're just in there to make a quick buck. The faster the money rolls in, quicker they buy that Ferrari, they get their home out in the Hamptons, and it's done. They don't care if they stay here in the United States. A lot of these guys sailing off into the sunset overseas doing their own thing. It's one of the reasons why, personally, having been in that kind of setting before, I chose not to continue that. It's not the type of person I am. It's not something that I could live with, although I guess there's people out there that they want to choose that demonic path for whatever reason. That's not a righteous path, in my opinion. So will this accumulate? Will this accelerate? Is this an indication and a sneak peek of what's to come? Well, whether or not it happens over the next couple of months as we approach that historical track record in the November-October period, September period, or not, doesn't really matter. We know it is the end result at some point. Dow will collapse, S&P will collapse, gold will skyrocket, all tangible assets will skyrocket, all credit-based and tied assets will plummet. Housing, everything. I'm going through the mental list. It's going everything. You have other people who are like, well, what you should do is profit off it. Try to profit off it. And people say buy things like these highly traded, exchange-traded funds. Some of them that you may have heard of, people talk about, things like TVT, et cetera. They're ultra-leveraged, play the inverse of interest rates, et cetera. During a bond collapse, you'll make a lot of money. Is that smart? Are those things you should do? Probably not, unless you're a highly sophisticated trader or something like that. Those are extremely dangerous instruments. Extremely dangerous. Now, of course, the funds, they trade on massive margin. Individuals, typically, they can trade at a, 2-3 times margin. So they got 100,000, maybe their full buying power is like 300,000 or something like that. Hedge funds trade like 10 times, 15 times their actual equity. So they got $1 million, let's say. They move 12 million in the market like it's theirs, but they're borrowing it. You see, that's why we had a collapse in '08, and it's why we'll have a collapse in the future. If equity is X and the buying power is Y, and it's grossly over leveraged, if you understand anything about leverage and margin, what happens, a 10% decline would be a meaningful, equivalent, and I'm just kind of throwing out numbers, would be like 25%. because you're borrowing so much margin. And that's why you reach an insolvency point where literally everything could not just crash, but cease to exist. I mean, the computers themselves and the algorithm completely go kaput. It ties back into cyber warfare. And again, I was behind the scenes. I was front and center during the flash crash, during the 2008 financial collapse. I was there. This is all coming again, and it will be catastrophic. You know, people talk about, well, what happens if an EMP hits? What happens if we get another cyber attack? In fact, these would be great scapegoats for the United States government to use as the reason for the collapse. Like, look, China attacked us with a cyber warfare attack. Iran attacked us with cyber warfare technology. Because they're looking for an excuse. Because, I mean, this is all breeding the war. You know, World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Gulf War, Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya, boom, Middle East, gateway into Iran. Is he coming back? Is he coming back? What do you think? You know, people say we see signs of a fallen world. Here we are. We see signs of it every single day. But what are people doing about it? What are you doing about it? Are you prepared? Are you prepared? You wake up tomorrow, all of a sudden everything's a zero? And these are tough, difficult questions. I'm not going to say I'm fully prepared. I don't think you could ever be fully prepared. You know, you're almost kind of just going with it as it comes. You try to do your best to plan. Plan for the worst, hope for the best. It's kind of where we are in America. Everybody knows this is fake bullshit. Everybody knows this isn't sustainable. Everybody still is thinking about 2008, but because things have been pretty good lately, you know, the market's been on this fabricated run higher, which is really just an inflation run. You know, eventually it'll be Zimbabwe. Eventually we'll be pushing the shopping carts, and it'll be full of dollar bills, and you'll be using it to paint your walls and, you know, kind of wipe your ass, and you'll light it on fire to heat, and you'll sit there with the other bums. I mean, that's what they're doing. I know it sounds drastic. I know that sounds extreme. I know that sounds like it's fear-mongering, but it really is the truth. It's happened historically throughout history. Great empires rise and fall, baby. Rise and fall. Guess where we are? Financially, economically, spiritually, philosophically, that's where we are. That is America. Is all hope lost? Should you not try? Should you not do anything? No, absolutely not. That's even more reason to do more. Take life by the balls. You know, I had a young kid ask me the other day, say, Christopher, I love your channel, love your show. I don't know if you respond to comments, but he said, you know, what should I study? Should I even go to college? Should I study anything? Or what degrees, he asked, are in demand that I should go study so that I'm hired somewhere? You know, honestly, that's the wrong question. What you should be doing is creating the demand for yourself. Make yourself a valuable item. You know, I'm seeing a lot more independence now in our economy. I think it's fantastic. A lot more independent people that have created their own reality. You can do that through the power of the mind. There's a book called Think and Grow Rich. There's other books like that. You think and you become. That's true. I believe that. What you think about is what you become. If you decide you're going to change something for the better, or you're going to do something, whether or not it's a hobby or a profession or with your family life or anything like that, maybe you want to be healthier, you want to get in better shape, you think about it, you will become it. That's how powerful thought is. The minute you put negative thoughts into your head and your mind, you're subliminally and subconsciously creating the outcome before you've even had a chance to create the one you really want. Because people are afraid of failure. They're also just fearful of the unknown. We should not be fearful, America. Look at James Gandolfini, Tony Soprano. You know, great actor. Of course, I didn't know him. I don't know his real character in real life. But I enjoyed his shtick. He dies. He's in his 50s. He's done. That's it. It's over. That's how quick life is. That's really all you've got. We can all go at any moment. I can go at any moment. I'm a young guy. Relatively speaking, I guess. Maybe 17-year-olds wouldn't consider me. They think I'm old. I'm sure I have 70-year-olds watching right now. Maybe 90-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 30-year-olds. We don't know how much time is left. It goes like this. What are you waiting for, is what I am asking. What are you waiting for? You know, I kind of came up to that realization. I've always had an instinct around it from a very young age. But even more recently, I mean, we only have such limited time. Go for it. Jump in. Dive in. These people aren't going to take care of you. The federal government isn't going to take care of you. This is not sustainable. You're not going to get your Social Security check. Your pension is not likely to be there. What's likely to result, which is a necessary consequence to recklessness and insolvency, is war? Is a financial reset? Is a destruction of your civil liberties to try to contain the civil unrest? That's what's happening. Yet these people are responsible, and we continue to let them to guide us. We continue to let these people lead us down a path of self-destruction. It is not a path of righteousness. It is not a path of goodness. It is a path of chaos. That is not what we want. I want to see personally, and I think it's already happened, I want to see a lot more independence and autonomy on a personal level, on a business level, on a spiritual level. I think it's great. I think people are thinking outside the box now. I think people are starting to create their own realities. Join us. Join me. Create your own reality. Take life by the balls. Do not be afraid. Embrace the unknown. What do you have to lose? Could be Gandolfini. Could be Tony Soprano. 6 feet under. What's the worst that can happen? It's true. So we have so much in the news, so much with the NSA, so much with these financial markets, tying this all in. It truly is incredible. And of course, at the center and heart of this is one of the most magnificent scandals of all time. Bigger than Nixon, bigger than Watergate, bigger than any of that. President Barack Obama emblazoned the largest scandal in American history. Scandal after scandal. Benghazi, IRS, NSA, war crimes. You know, you pretty much try every president recently for war crimes. More war is a solution to all this. This is not a solution. These are not answers. This is not the path you want to be on, my friends. You need to define, redefine your own goals, your own passion, your own path. Make it a reality. Make it happen. Thank you so much for your support. I'm going to end it here today. It's about 3 o'clock, roughly Arizona time. We'll be putting out a host of new content. We're getting set up at our new location, really bootstrapping things, boxes everywhere. Really appreciate your support. Hang tough, everybody. As always, hard-hitting in your face. I'm Christopher Green. Make sure to subscribe to this channel. Share it everywhere, all over your social media networks. Rock on. I'm out. Peace.